You don't know what's out there.
That's why I would go.
Hi, and welcome back to Wild Dream, where we give you the freshest takes on the latest movies. My name is David.
And my name's Daniel.
Oh, I thought you were going to do the thing that they do in musicals where they never know what the last note is.
It's a podcast and we're recording. We hope it's fun and not so boring.
All right, there's the musical trope that we got. Yeah, I mean, that's, we just saw, believe it or not, Wicked!
I'm singing for the entire episode today.
No, he's not.
Yes, I am.
I will actually take my headphones off and leave.
Yes, I am. Yes, I am.
The only thing I could play in a musical is the guy who does the speaking ad-lib. Someone's like, singing, and then they come in and go, actually, and then they go, not now. And then
Well, you could do remember that dude from Mulan who was just like, we ba 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 ba, like that kind of.
You know what? Okay, speaking of Mulan, though, Mulan is my favorite musical. I should say that up front.
Is that so?
Did you know that A Girl Worth Fighting For is the last song in that movie?
A girl worth fighting for.
So we're still in first act territory. They haven't even left to go fight the Huns yet. And
I'm about to say they haven't
finished
discovered
the musical part of the movie. So that's nice. Also, the song Make a Man Out of You is the only song in any musical that is in my vocal range.
We'll make a man out of you. Diddle, diddle, diddle.
Let's get down to
Business. Hey, but I can actually imagine, visually see her throwing the two little medallions over the pole.
Yeah, she's trying to climb up.
Anyways,
Mulan's goated.
We're here to talk about Wicked. Sorry, we're in our musical bag now.
Okay, but let's start off talking about Wicked, because obviously it is a musical. Let's talk about musicals, because I think it's important to bring this up, because we said during the Smile episode, we said if you're not afraid of people smiling, you won't be scared by the movie Smile. And if you do not like musicals, you're probably not going to like Wicked. So I think that for our review today, we're going to have to kind of be fair, because we're not musical people. Not to say that we dislike musicals entirely. It's not like we're adamantly against and hate musicals. Like, Daniel did musical theater when he was in high school. I made props for musical theater in high school. And so, yeah, so it's like, we're familiar with it, but we're not, I don't think either of us is the kind of person who would watch a Broadway play that's being streamed on something.
I've always said that I would much rather be in a musical than watch one. I think they're really fun to perform and to be in. I'm just not a fan of them from an outside perspective. There are some that I like better, for sure. Obviously, I've talked on this podcast a million times about Danny Elfman. So when you get, I think it's one of my things when it comes to musical fatigue is I just have a certain taste in music, I guess, that I prefer something a little darker and more minor key related.
Yeah.
And so a lot of musicals are not that. They're very major key related, and they're just so
Bubbly
and bouncy and herky jerky in terms of
and
the
even
rhythm.
in this one where it kind of pitches itself as being a little bit darker, not necessarily.
Now this one has
the two sides.
This one does have a catchy. There's one song in the whole movie that I've still been thinking of. It's so catchy, it's still in my head. But all the other ones, I was I'm surprised at how they're so non-linear and so not memorable to me. Again,
well, yeah, that's what's interesting to me is because I was like, well, I've known Wicked has been around for a long time, right? The Broadway play has been around for a long time, and it's a lot of people who do love theater, people who study theater, people who are in theater. Wicked is a lot of those people's favorite play ever. It's not uncommon for someone who loves musical theater for Wicked to be in their top 5 even, so it's interesting because it's well, I guess I thought that because it was so good, then maybe it was so original and so different than your typical play is similar to like Hamilton. How Hamilton is completely different, you know, and that was one of the other ones I would always heard about growing up, you know, was in high school, or whatever. It was like, hey, you know, Hamilton's like the biggest play ever. But then I was like, oh, but it's actually so established that I shouldn't be surprised that a lot of the musical numbers in here are just everyday musical numbers. Like they're not like more complex or interesting or different than what you would see in any other musical. I'm like, oh, because this is like a staple musical because it's been around for long. You know what I mean? So like
there's not a single song in this one that hits like that song from Rent. Like the dun 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 da 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 da.
Right.
Like that's like,
and there's not a single song in this that hits like "Make a Man Out of You" by
yeah,
you know. So
yeah, but again, it's like we're also so I heard about Wicked when I was in high school through I think my choir teacher, and like I had no idea what the story was. I had no idea like. I obviously knew it was a Broadway play. I knew the main actress that played it in Broadway. That's like all I knew. I had no idea about the story at all.
But yeah, I guess, yeah. But you know what? We're not musical people. So I'm not trying to, you know, we're still going to give our fair opinion on it. It's not like we've never seen a musical. We can still rate a musical fairly and honestly, even though we're not people who would typically choose to partake in musicals. And you know what? Even if I would go see a musical, like a Broadway show, if I had the opportunity, like in New York and like actually go to Broadway, like that would be cool. And I think that would be interesting. But like, you know, if it weren't for you guys demanding, we put a poll out because we were like, yeah, we could do Wicked or we could do anything else. Do people want us to see Wicked? So we put a poll out and you guys participate. And if you guys want to participate in our future polls and, you know, help determine the course of this podcast, you can always go to @WildDreamPod on Instagram. And it was a resounding yes that everybody wanted us to go see this movie. So
that's right. We only had one single no.
So it wasn't like we were like, you know, dead set on this movie or anything either. So the other thing that I think about when it comes to this movie, because like you said, you didn't know a lot about it. And I knew what the plot was. The thing about the concept of the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz is that is like one of the last original ideas that has ever been made. Like it is like everything these days is like a remake of a remake of a remake, right? And like everything is just like, you know, copy and paste, whatever. But the idea of witches having pointy hats, having green skin, having long boily noses, having a cackle, having you're right, having or flying on brooms, all of that
like that.
Okay,
did you see that, Dave? Dave, did you see that?
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
I just flew around.
Guy thinks he's Michael Winslow.
I just flew around on a broom when you said that. What the fuck? That was crazy.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks.
What you gonna do about it, bitch?
Okay. But anyways, all of those things, all of those concepts about witches all came from
Sabrina the Teenage Witch.
From The Wizard of Oz.
Damn it, that's close. Not at all close.
It's just like everyone does that now, right? It's like even Sabrina the Teenage Witch has, you know, aspects of that. And even Harry Potter, you know, uses those aspects, you know, flying on a broom and wearing pointy hats and all this stuff. So this is like, you know, the whole idea of like, let's take the Wicked Witch of the West from The Wizard of Oz. And this is like back in like 1950 when the book was written. And let's make an origin story about this thing. They write the book about it, and then they make a Broadway play about it, and then we make a movie of the Broadway play. So this movie is an adaptation of a spin-off. So it's like the furthest thing removed from an original idea being put out into theaters. So I'm not saying like this was a bad idea. Obviously, the Broadway play is, you know, incredible and really well known. So the movie was inevitable. But I'm just saying it's like when we're complaining about Gladiator 2, I'm like the Wicked coming out in theaters is as bad as Gladiator 2. This is an adaptation of a Broadway play, and the Broadway play is an adaptation of a book, and that book is a spin-off of someone else's book. Like it's nothing about it is original. So like it's in that conversation of these sequels and these biopics and
cash
these
grabs.
remakes and these it's just a cash grab.
Yeah,
that's one of my things going into this movie that I'm thinking about, and I'm trying not to take too much away from the movie for that fact, but at the same time, it's like we've had a lot of luck this year with some really original movies, and so to come back to, hey, let's
Smile 2. I mean, come on, man. Like,
right, Smile 2.
We need more of that.
One of the most original things I've ever seen. Yeah, like I'm waiting for the next Space Jam to come out, so we can get something original. When Space Jam came out, nobody ever did live action and cartoon.
A cartoon that talks. What?
He's a bunny, but he speaks English.
A cartoon that talks, not even an animal that talks.
It's just a cartoon that talks.
Cartoon that talks.
Dude watches a lot of Tom and Jerry.
Finally, dude, I've been waiting. This one has talking animals too. This movie
does have talking animals. Spoiler alert! Fuck, dude, we're in spoiler free talk.
How's that a spoiler?
Now they already know the animals talk. No, now they already know. They might as well not even watch this.
Yeah, don't go watch it.
Just don't go watch it because
I just spoiled the main part of the movie.
You just spoiled the entire movie. Was that the animals talk? But with all that said aside, like our apprehensions, we're not musical people. I was upset about how unoriginal the movie is. It was still a fun movie. If you go to see it, you're going to have fun. Most likely. It's bright. It's colorful. It's got really good action. It's the CGI. We actually saw it in 3D, and the 3D wasn't bad. There were a lot of moments that were really good with the 3D.
That's right. We had to see it in 3D because it was the only Showtime that had seats available.
Yeah. This is like Oppenheimer level of difficulty in finding a showing.
Yes, that's right. And it is popping. I mean, everyone is going to see this movie. I've heard people around the office at Arby's talk. The office at Arby's.
Well, we work at Arby's corporate.
Yeah,
that's the secret is that we secretly work at Arby's corporate.
I've heard a lot of people, just a lot of coworkers talking about it. So it's like even people that I had no idea were into this kind of stuff are like, oh my God, Wicked. So it's a big cultural phenomenon, and it's interesting that this is my introduction to it because I would much rather see it in Broadway. I think that's my biggest hurdle when it comes to musicals is that I would much rather see it on stage as it was meant to be performed. I don't like film musicals. Like I just don't. And the ones that work the best for me are animated movies. And so it's like live action musicals I just do not like. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'll say that too. I mean, I do enjoy an animated musical more. Like obviously we mentioned Mulan already twice. I think it's probably our favorite musical, which is also just a fantastic movie. But yeah, I mean, I like Moana a lot. I really liked Moana. Of course, that movie came out close to when our grandmother passed away, and that movie has a grandmother passes away, so I'm emotionally connected to that movie. But yeah, and then, I like, Frozen's fine. It's all right. It's not really, my speed, but it's pretty good. I thought Encanto was really good. So a lot of these like Disney, Pixar animated musicals are like what most musicals are. Like most screen musicals are Disney movies. And so this is like, it's an interesting thing too, to go and see a musical that's not made by Disney. At least I don't think it is. I mean, who knows?
We should have went to see Mean Girls, bro. We should have went to see
Maybe we should have. But I was more mad. When you talk about something not being original, I was like even more mad about that. I was like, dude.
She doesn't even go here.
I'm like, why did they even make the Broadway Mean Girls musical? I'm like,
she doesn't even go here. I love the idea. They're just singing the lines, the iconic lines.
Yeah. Which,
Gretchen, stop trying to make fetch happen.
Here's why I would never be able to do that, to go see the Mean Girls musical. It's not even just because I hate the fact that they took Mean Girls, made it a musical, and then made the musical back into a movie. But then I could not stand the idea of watching Mean Girls being politically correct.
Now, I do think we should mention an elephant in the room that we have not addressed, which is...
Whoa, I'm losing some weight, buddy. I don't know. I didn't think you were going to go that far.
We should mention the hippo in the room, the gorilla at best in the room. We should mention.
Okay.
We haven't even brought up the fact that this movie is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And it makes it even more infuriating when you consider that 2 hours and 40 minutes, almost 3 hours, this movie, it's Wicked Part 1.
Yeah. And that's not a spoiler either, because if you guys have looked this movie up, it's literally, the movie is called Wicked: Part 1. Like, everyone was telling me like, oh yeah, you know, this is only the first part of it, right? And I was like, what? They were like, I was like, are you guys serious? Like, they were like, yeah, like this is just part one of. God fucking damn, bro. 2 hours and 40 fucking minutes. And if you want to know whether or not all of that was super necessary, no, I'm not even talking about the songs. I swear to God, I'm not. And we're going to get to that in spoiler talk. Do I think they used 2 hours and 40 minutes really well? Absolutely fucking not. Do I think that there was a lot of shit that could have been cut that was not important whatsoever? Absolutely. There was. And this movie has a lot of issues like that. Like, you know, and the pacing was like it just wasn't good. Like, it just wasn't good pacing. Again, I'm not trying to trash this movie. A lot of people are going to go to this movie. They're going to fucking love it, you know? And if they're coming to listen to us and we're just shitting on it all the time, they're going to be like, these guys don't know what they're talking about. This is a masterpiece. I'm like, no, it wasn't. And there's a lot of reasons why. And I think if they had actually stuck to the structure that you would typically see in something like a play, it probably would have been better.
Yeah, I mean, I can't. That's why I keep reiterating that I have no connection with this not franchise, whatever, this property, this intellectual property. I did not know Wicked had anything to do with The Wizard of Oz until 2 nights ago when while we were streaming, Dave and Timothy brought it up, and I was like, wait, what? This is a Wizard of Oz thing this whole time? Wicked? Like, I had no idea. I'm so that far removed from it, so I'm coming from an absolutely outside perspective, you know what I'm saying? And so, you know, I just don't find it that interesting or compelling. And I was underwhelmed by the catchiness of a lot of the songs. Not all of them. Again, there is one that's very catchy, but I was just very underwhelmed by a lot of aspects of it, but very impressed by a lot of aspects of it from a filmmaking perspective, and trying to make a musical and adapting it. There's a lot of stuff that worked for sure, but
yeah, I mean, I think the visuals.
2 hours and 40 minutes is my biggest gripe, dude. That's
2 hours and 40 minutes is a fucking crime against humanity.
It was, dude. I felt it for real. I was like,
oh yeah,
damn.
And you know what's funny? Because I was like, this movie ends on a fucking cliffhanger, and it's 2 hours and 40 minutes. And as we were getting closer, I was like, where the fuck is that cliffhanger at?
Yeah,
my God,
real. Hang off
that fucking cliff for the love of God.
Yeah,
like.
So.
Yeah, and what's crazy is it's like I felt during the movie, I was like, oh yeah, you could have made this in one part. You did not have to make this 2 parts.
I'm saying the plot itself. That's why I'm excited to get to the plot, to the rundown, because it's so simple. This story is so simple.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, for all the faults that we have with it, again, it's a fun and it's entertaining and it's cool. It's very visually interesting. I think it's like, you know, very like Poor Things-esque in a way, like the way that everything was like looked, and it was all fantastical.
Yeah, I was gonna say it reminded me of Harry Potter in that way.
Yeah,
because
the
universe.
It's not as dark as Harry Potter. It's more bright and colorful.
It's very bright, but yeah, it is. It has that very good world building, and like, oh, okay, like I'm in this world now. So yeah, really good world building and set design and costume design, all that stuff. They do a lot of good shit. They build this world very well. But, woo, I didn't want to spend that long in the world.
And, yeah, we'll just say I think that some of the songs were good. Some of them weren't good. I think some of them had actually, like, bad singing. Not in terms of, like, not hitting the right notes, but the notes were weird and sung awkwardly. My biggest complaint about the singing isn't even the fact that it exists, but the fact that so much of it was done in such a way that I couldn't even understand what the characters were saying. I was like, I need subtitles to know what they're saying while they're singing. And that got really annoying. But some characters do it and some characters don't, you know, it's just like, I don't know. But yeah. And then, you know, I think that for the most part, the acting was fine. There wasn't anybody who like blew me away. But there also wasn't anybody who I was like, this person is so awful, I can't watch them on screen. And I think that when you're taking a movie from a play to a screen, a lot of theatrical plays, the acting is way over top. It's way extra. It's way, whatever. And I think these actors actually did a good job in the non-musical scenes of playing it to camera, For
sure. I think the actress who plays Elphaba was fantastic. I think she actually stole the show for me.
Which I think is the idea.
Probably. I mean,
the whole plot of the movie is her stealing the show. Am I right, guys?
I thought she was great. And she had a lot of really good film acting, like you're saying, with communicating a whole range of emotions through facial expressions and reactions that are silent.
Despite being green.
Despite being green, that's true. Weirdest Shrek sequel I've ever seen in my life. Prequel adaptation sequel.
Well, there's also a Shrek musical. Have you seen that?
I have heard of that. Whatever. That's something that I would like to see chill out too. Is like when we had musicals like Phantom of the Opera, Cats, Fiddler on the Roof, like all these musicals.
Bye Bye Birdie.
Now it's like, no, just make a musical of Fast and Furious.
Because we have Spider-Man the musical. We have
they're just like
Mean Girls the musical.
Yeah.
We have fucking Shrek the musical.
So that industry is also.
I'm still waiting for them to. I think at a certain point they're going to adapt fucking Bye Bye Birdie into a regular movie and then adapt that back into a musical. This is Bye Bye Birdie, the movie, the musical.
Yeah, that's where we're going.
What's going on here?
So, yeah, I mean, yeah. At the end of the day,
God of War, the musical.
At the end of the day, this is it's a musical, which I don't film musicals. I just don't like. And
a Serbian film, the musical.
Oh my god. It's
Irreversible, the musical.
It's just scratching knives on fucking aluminum trash cans. That's the songs. So yeah, I don't like film musicals, and fantasy is one of my least favorite genres.
I know, yeah. You're not a fantasy guy.
This movie is just not.
Guy's not even
me.
a fantasy football guy. I'm going to dominate his ass this
Rude.
weekend. This is coming out on Tuesday, so we'll find out if that's true or not.
But yeah, so it's just this movie's not for me. That's my biggest takeaway. Is doesn't matter how good it did some things, how poorly it did other things. It doesn't not matter. At a certain point, this movie was just not made for me. So,
which is why I'm really glad that we brought Danielle, because she
loved it.
It's for her.
Yeah, it is for her, and she had a great time.
I wish she could be here.
I do too.
To be on the podcast, because she would have had a much better perspective on this than us.
Very true.
She knows about the musical. She's seen it, and she loves musicals. She loves singing. She was also in musical theater, so she is a participate and watch kind of person.
Yes, I'm very proud of her for holding back in the theater.
Dude, I'm so proud of her. And I was like, you know what? She's about to go blast this shit in her car on the way home, and she's gonna belt the entire way, and she deserves it.
Yeah.
Because we had nobody singing in our theater, and I'm so grateful for that. And if there was going to be one person, it was going to be our sister, and she held back. So I'm so proud of her. But I do really wish that she could be here, because she would be able to give a great perspective on this movie.
That's true. But too bad you guys are stuck with us. Is that all you got for spoiler free?
That's all I got.
Then let's get into it.
Everybody. Dies. Spoiler alert. If you guys haven't never seen a musical, they never know when to end the song. What the spoiler alert is a reference to the fact that they never know when to. This is the final note. It's always another thing comes in at the end, and just they go again. You're like, oh my god, it's over. The song's over. Stop.
They do that a couple times in this movie. I was like, all right, we got it.
Okay.
Yeah. I forgot which one.
And some of these, by the way, in this one aren't even words. It's not even like, oh, the final word of the song. They just end the song, and then the person comes back to go,
yeah, I think
you're like, that's just you singing.
That's the one. Like, I can't remember which song. I don't know what specific.
The final song does that.
But there's a song in here where it was just like, and that's the end of this song. Oh, and I'm like, no way, you came back for that? Just end the fucking song.
End the song. It's over.
You ain't doing the national anthem at a fucking sports event. Chill out.
Yeah.
Anyways, I thought that's a big gripe of mine with musicals. Here's what the movie's about, folks. You better leave that. That was a good rant. We said dies. That was perfect. Wicked, space, part 1 is about Elphaba, a misunderstood young woman because of her green skin, and Glinda, a popular girl, becoming friends at Shiz University
Oh yeah, I'm fixing to fuck you.
in the land of Oz.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
After an encounter with the wonderful Wizard of Oz,
You're not that guy, pal. Trust me. You're not that guy.
their friendship reaches a crossroad.
I didn't do fucking shit.
I forgot to use our our soundboard last week,
We're hammering it today.
so we're giving it all back.
You don't know how it is.
Can't just reach over.
I'm just reaching over
anybody.
anybody. But you know what's funny is while reading that synopsis is when it says Oz and it's the end of the sentence, it just looks like ounce.
Oh,
I almost said ounce. I was
Yeah.
like, wait.
hold on. Yeah, you guys ready for the rundown?
The rundown. We've had this long running segment that
This
we introduced
long
last
running-
week.
Where we're going to give you the entire plot of the movie, and then we're just going to talk about the movie in particularly whatever order, not in no particular order.
Yeah. Whatever order we want, we make the rules here.
Okay, so here's the rundown. So this movie is about Elphaba. She's a misunderstood young woman because of her green skin, and Glinda, a popular girl, and they become friends at Shiz University in the land of Oz. But then after an encounter with the wonderful Wizard of Oz, their friendship reaches a crossroad.
That's actually really well put.
Thank you. The synopsis that Daniel just gave is pretty much the fucking rundown of this movie. Here is the plot of this movie. It is about Elphaba, the Wicked Witch of the West from the Wizard of Oz. It's her origin story about how she became the Wicked Witch of the West. Well, her and Glinda, the Good Witch, went to school with each other. They both wanted to study magic. At first, they hate each other. Why? Because one of them has green skin and the other one is racist, and that's why they hate each other. They, weren't friends for a long time. They hate each other, and because one of them was studying magic, and Glinda wanted to study magic, but she wasn't allowed to. Eventually, Elphaba is like, well, I want them to be nice to me, and I want them to be nice to my sister, who, her sister is in a wheelchair, and her sister, they keep saying, is tragically beautiful, which I'm like, yeah, why is everyone in this movie keeps calling her beautiful, but then all of the boys in the movie are like, oh, I don't want to talk to the girl in the wheelchair. I'm like, she's fucking gorgeous. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How the fuck are you not talking about her? That doesn't make any sense to me. Like, you're going to sit here and pretend all these boys would be like, oh, not interested, chair girl. No.
I know, especially like the fucking nerd who like rizzes her up.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, you'd be so lucky, all right, pal?
I'm saying, dude. And not to mention she's rich too. So it's like, dude.
Yeah.
Anyways. So yeah, it's Mean Girls coded, weirdly enough. So Elphaba eventually convinces Glinda to be nice to her because she gets her into the magic class. And Elphaba can't control her magic, so throughout the movie she keeps doing magical stuff, and like on accident she can't really control anything. And in the movie they have talking animals, and you see,
What if when she got mad, she turned into a like just normal?
she just turns into current day Mark Ruffalo. So when they become friends, the other, Elphaba becomes more and more powerful. Oh, they do have talking animals in this movie, and one of the talking animals is a professor at the school. And they show us that Elphaba was essentially raised by talking animals because the talking animals were the servants in her home, and her parents were rich and didn't like her and never spent time with her. So she does have a soft spot for the animals, but she also has a soft spot for them because they're being persecuted against. Like, they're being told like you don't deserve to teach in schools anymore. And what they are learning is that, if we actually cage animals and we don't let them get brought up normally, they'll probably never learn how to talk. So they're like actually trying to persecute against all the animals, as in no animal should be speaking, and we're going to domesticate them, whatever. And she's not for this. They end up kicking the professor out of school, which triggers the, kind of the, like, this is like the plot of the movie. Really, it's like this struggle with the animals and how they're taking the animals out, out of society entirely, and they don't want them talking, they don't want them whatever, they want them to be like how animals are in real life. So when she gets to go meet the Wizard of Oz, obviously she realizes that, or her first thing, she's like, well, my heart's desire is not actually to not be green anymore, which is the reason why people have horrifically overreacted to a person wearing in green. Society has changed so much these days. If someone came into a place where I was at and they were all painted green, I wouldn't even fucking. I wouldn't be like, ah!
Hawk Tua.
Hawk Tua on that.
Have y'all seen that meme? It's so funny.
She says, spit on that thing?
Dude, I was dying laughing.
I was dying laughing.
Dude, you guys got to Google Hawk Tua. By the way, do we think 2024 is going to be categorized in history as the year of Hawk Tua and Costco guys? Is this?
Yeah.
It seems like a monumental shift in society.
Yeah. Her actual heart's desire is she wants to help the animals. And the Wizard of Oz is like, oh, yes, okay. Yeah, sure. Okay. Okay. It's Jeff Goldblum. So
It's Jeff Goldblum.
if you've ever seen Jeff Goldblum, it's that.
Help the tigers.
Okay, yeah. I have a little soft spot for you and for the animals. Of course, yes, of course. Anyways, so they're like, well, we have this magical book, and they sing a whole song about it. Shocker. By the way, everything I've said, they sing a whole song about. And there's this magic book called the Grimoire, and the story of Oz, the city of Oz and the land of Oz, is that with the last magical people that ever lived, they left a book with all the magic in it, and they said only people who have magic can read this book. Nobody could read it for thousands of years. The prophecy said that when Aslan was going to need somebody the most, then somebody would be able to read it. The wizard comes down, he reads the book, and now he's the Wizard of Oz. Well, she can read the book too, and as she reads the book and she does something bad or whatever, and she's like, "Oh, I can't reverse it," or whatever. She's like, what she ends up doing, by the way, is putting the wings on the monkey army. There's a monkey army, and everybody knows about the flying monkeys from Wizard of Oz. And she does a spell to give them wings. And she's like, wait, if you wanted flying monkeys so bad, why didn't you just do the spell? Wait a minute. It's just now clicking to me. You're Jeff Goldblum. You're the guy from Jurassic Park.
You're the guy from Jurassic Park.
It's been killing me.
The whole time I was here.
I was like, what? My God, I know this freaking guy.
I know that guy.
So you don't have any magic at all. He's like, oh, no. Okay, yeah, no. See. Yeah, no, I don't.
You see, I don't. But I would love to know magic.
Anyway, so she's like, you don't have any magic. He's like, yeah, you got me. So then she goes up on the edge of a tower. Her and Glinda are there because they're friends now. And she's like, hey, so I'm gonna go. And then Glinda's like, I'm gonna stay because I'm not like you and I'm not rebellious. But you go ahead. And she's like, okay, goodbye. Then she flies away. End of movie. End of part 1.
To be continued.
To be continued. Now, what I told you just now, was that 2 hours and 40 minutes worth of content? No.
We don't like each other. Now we do. Oh, no, we're going separate ways.
We don't like each other. Now we do. The wizard's not real. I fly away.
The wizard's a fraud. He's an absolute fraud. He doesn't know a single spell.
When I said earlier that there were some people who were saying in a way that I couldn't understand what they were saying, I'm talking about Ariana Grande. What's going on with her singing in this movie? At no point does she sound like Ariana Grande. Like, it blew my mind. And I was like, was this a decision she made or a decision that the director made? That they were like, let's have her sing more like a Broadway star and less like a pop star, even though she's a world famous pop star. Like, we got Ariana Grande for this role because she is a singer and is also an actress who came up on Nickelodeon playing a character who's ditzy and dumb. Okay, let's have her play a ditzy dumb character who sings. Okay, perfect casting. You nailed it. But let's have her sing like a opera singer. And like, I couldn't understand anything that she was saying. I was like, whose decision was this? And when I say like I couldn't understand anything she was saying, like if she was to come into the scene and say, "Hi Dan, how are you?" It would sound like this.
Okay, hit that note, Dave. I see,
like,
bro.
What the fuck did she just say? Like, what did she say? I'm like, what is she saying? I could not understand like half of her fucking singing lines. It was so bad. Like, there was only one song in the movie where I could understand what she was saying. But like, again, it's like when you take a Broadway play and you adapt it into a movie, you can do two things. You can add more to the visual aspects, obviously, But you can also add more to the audio aspects. You can make the songs different than they normally are. You can add more electronics if you wanted to. You could add more everything. And so when you go and you get Ariana Grande for this movie, it's like, okay, well, how about we add a song that's not in the play? And that's okay. That happens a lot. When you adapt a Broadway musical into a movie, you can add a new song. And that's a lot, people who love musicals, they enjoy that. They're like, oh, here's a song that's not from the play. I don't know, maybe make a song where Ariana Grande sounds like a fucking pop star. For once, like, you know what I'm saying? I'm just like, what? I don't get it. Like, she sounded like an opera singer where I was like, I don't even know if this is actually Ariana Grande singing, like, for a lot of her songs.
I didn't have that much of a problem with her singing, and I bet you some people would prefer that she goes the opera type of singing route because it's a musical and they don't want it to be commercialized and whatever.
Then get someone else. Get someone else.
I'm just saying.
Like, if you went then...
But she has I know that she's known for having, like, a really, really high, like, range and shit.
Yeah, I mean...
For sure.
I just don't know, man. Like...
But believe it or not, this fucking stupid 30-year-old straight man don't listen to Ariana Grande every day.
But like,
so I'm not familiar with her music.
But here's like an example: the quote unquote live action, the CGI live action Lion King movie has Donald Glover and Beyonce in it. And could you imagine if they brought them into that movie for them to go, ooh, you'd be like, what the fuck is this?
Dave, you're a lot better at singing when you do like the opera shit.
Yeah. Well, I am a fat blonde man. I think it's in my blood. Figaro. It's just a gripe that I had. Even if you're like fine with the way that she sings, I still think that not being able to understand half of what she said was a detriment to the movie. I just don't understand how everybody watched that. I guess maybe because they know what the word is. They know what she's saying, so they don't feel like they can't understand what she's saying. And maybe people who know these songs might know what she's saying, so they don't feel that same way. But that's how I felt a lot of the time.
That's fair. You can have that gripe.
Now, can we
Shout
agree
out.
that one of the worst parts of this movie is the 4 intros, the 4 beginnings of the movie?
Yeah, can you break them down for me?
Okay, so first beginning is we're showing the very end of Wizard of Oz where the Wicked Witch of the West was killed by a bucket of water. Mm-hmm. That's the opening number 1.
Okay.
And we overhear them going, the Wicked Witch, oh my God. Okay, opening number 2, the Munchkins finding out the Wicked Witch is dead, and they do a song and dance number. And then they ask her, well, how did she become the Wicked Witch of the West? So then we get intro number 3.
Which is her being born.
Which is her mother cheating on her father and then her being born.
Mm-hmm. By the way, really shocked that this kept a PG rating.
Because of that?
Because there's like multiple sexual references. And that one was pretty,
explicit, yeah.
She rips off, like, she's like, bye, honey, have fun at work. And then she rips off her dress and her big ass titties are swinging everywhere. I was like, oh my. And then she's like, I'm just like, damn. And it wasn't even
She did have some titties.
And it wasn't even the only, like, sexual, I don't know. There was multiple sexual jokes. Anyways, I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah. So then she's born and her skin is green. And then intro number 4, they show a scene of her when she's a kid and she gets bullied for having green skin. And then we go back to the end of The Wizard of Oz, and the Munchkins are celebrating the death of the Wicked Witch. And then they go up to Glinda again, and they say, "Hey,
they said you was friends with her.
You used to be friends with her." And she's like, "Hold on, wait." And she has to pop the bubble again, there was a lot of comedy in this movie that landed. A lot of good jokes that landed in this one.
I agree.
And then she's like, "What was that?" And she's like, "Is it true that you guys were friends?" And then she's like, "Oh yeah, we did go to school with each other." Intro number 4.
And then it does the title card.
And then we get Wicked Part 1. And I was like,
that's right. I remember
so
this now.
There's another way to do this, and it's get rid of all 4 of those intros and just start with hey, we're going to the school. Like, so much of the showing her as a kid, I was like, this is not necessary. The second that she shows up to school and people react to her green skin the way that they reacted to it, I knew that this is how people have always reacted to her.
Right. You don't need to.
I don't need the scene of her as a kid.
It's the same scene, essentially. It really is every time.
Yeah.
She just
every
walks
time
in
she walks into a room and everyone freaks out because she's green.
Like, ew, gross, green.
Gross. I'm like, she's been at this school for fucking 4 months now. You guys still run away from her?
Yeah.
Y'all are in school with her. Was that like they don't do this in the classroom? She doesn't go sit down in the classroom. People get out of their fucking chairs and run to the walls. I'm like, but then when she goes to the party, everyone fucking freaks the hell out.
It's funny too, because I guess if you're naive, you don't count in this. But when they first made her all riled up at her introduction to showing up at Shiz to escort her
Shiz is the name of the school for those who don't know.
Shiz is the name of the school, and every time they said it, I thought of Snoop Dogg. It was insane.
Yep.
But
Faux shizzle.
My
Afrizzle.
My green person.
My Afrizzle Amerizzle Frizzizzle.
My Afarizzle Amerizizzle. So when she first shows up as Shiz to help her sister like get set up and stuff, she gets riled up and then she starts, it reminded me of Matilda a lot, like the telekinesis aspect. But anyways, she's like making everything fly and go off and go crazy. Yeah, because
somebody just takes her sister's wheelchair and starts pushing it away from her. She's like, hey, whoa.
Yeah.
And I was like, that is so fucking inappropriate to just take a person who's in a wheelchair and just start wheeling them without their permission or the family's permission. Don't fucking do that. Like, this bitch should have been fired day one of that. Like, that's fucking abuse.
For sure.
God
so
damn,
she gets
I
mad
hate that
and
fucking teacher so much.
Throws shit everywhere and just goes nuts. But the main professor or whatever,
the sorcerer,
because the sorcerer says, "Hey, that was actually me. It wasn't the green chick who got mad and started throwing shit everywhere. I know that timing seems crazy, but it was actually me, and it was just messing around with you guys to
I was just showing you guys that magic is cool.
That magic's cool and it's sick. And it's like anyone who's naive who's going to believe that, sure. But there's multiple people who are like,
considering Glinda is the one who was like, that wasn't her, was it? I was like, she's the dumbest one in the movie,
right.
So obviously everyone.
So
knows.
Everyone should know, like, okay, this green chick is very powerful and scary, but they throughout the movie are like, ew, gross, fuck you. And I'm like, no way I would do that to someone who has shown that they could crush me with the weight of telekinesis. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just
they could only just throw me into the sun if they wanted to.
Yeah.
Let me be a fucking bitch to them.
Ew, you're green.
And run away from them like they're the fucking pig.
You dumb, stupid bitch. You look like shit. That outfit looks like shit. You're fucking weird. Ew, gross. To someone who has, you know what I'm saying? It's like
could kill everyone in this room.
To fucking Magneto.
Which, by the way, is like also how I feel about the end of the movie. They're like, oh, this is an actual really powerful person who could read the Grimoire within 1 second. Let's send all of our guards after her and start a war with this person. Good idea, guys.
So stupid.
Hey, really fucking smart. Yeah, no, she won't just fucking absolutely annihilate you guys for the next 100 years.
Yeah, it's
like, and you wonder why.
They keep messing, man.
I'm saying.
But anyways.
But that's the whole point of the movie. We're supposed to feel sympathetic to the Wicked Witch of the West.
Right.
But then, you got to remember that she tries to fucking kill a teenager for no reason.
Yeah.
She's like, I'm going to fucking kill you and your fucking dog, too. I'm going to kill you and your dog. And I'm going to hang you guys. I'm going to fucking flay your ass. I'm going to hang you above my mantle. Mm-hmm. So you're like, okay, well, maybe she's not all good.
It's why I probably will check out part 2, because I actually do want to see the conclusion of the story. It would be cool to see it in one fucking movie like every other movie ever.
Yeah, but, hey, here's another villain origin story that Cruella came out, Maleficent has come out, and now we're getting Wicked. We got a lot of villain origin stories here, guys, and they all did it in one movie.
I do want to see where it reaches a point where she just she gets so just drunk on that power and starts being a fucking piece of shit. Because I don't remember The Wizard of Oz that well, but I do remember one, when I was a kid, I was like, this chick is scary as shit. Like, I used to scare the shit out of me. But two, I was like, dude, this woman's evil as hell. So
yeah.
I'm
I mean,
curious
that's her
to
whole
see,
thing, is that she's trying to kill a teenage girl and her dog.
Yeah, I want to see that. Where does that come from? Because right now she's like, she has so much rage because of mistreatment of animals. But then all of a sudden one day she's like, I'm going to kill you and your dog. Fuck all of you. It's like, how do we get to there? So I do want to see part 2 because of that. I'm like, man, and see how they do it, I guess. But
yeah.
Anyways.
And how Glinda goes right back to, yeah, fuck her. But you know what?
Yeah.
They end the movie with the whole concept of the reason why they're persecuting the animals is because the people need a villain. So maybe that's what it becomes. She's like, well, if you guys need a villain, I'll be the villain. Fuck you guys. I'll be as bad as you want me to be so you don't persecute animals anymore. So if that's how they're going to go with it, I'm sure that, is whatever. But, still, I mean, what would have happened if she caught Dorothy? We don't know. Also, if she's as powerful as she is in The Wizard of Oz as she is in this thing, then how did Dorothy even get her ass? Dorothy, she should have been able to just stop that water mid-throw and then just fucking crush her with her. What?
She's washed, bro.
She's washed.
She's washed.
Bro, in The Wizard of Oz, the Wicked Witch is washed. Oh my God.
Sad.
Sad. But anyways, the other part of this movie that, like, I don't know, they were doing this whole thing with this prince who comes to the school, and I didn't find any chemistry between him and Elphaba's character to where they would be like falling in love with each other, even though he's dating Galinda. For the majority of the movie, her name is Galinda, and at the end of the movie, she's like, I'm gonna go by Glinda now, because the professor who was a goat pronounced her name Glinda instead of Galinda, and she's like, I don't see why you can't just pronounce it right. And I'm like, and we're supposed to be on her side just because she's nice to someone after she gets a favor done for her? What?
I know, it's really weird. I mean, obviously they're like you said, it's supposed to be an empathetic exercise of feeling bad for the witch, but it's like, damn, they made me hate this, because her introduction in this movie is this all-powerful queen in a bubble of this fairy that everyone loves and adores and worships because she's the goat. She's just amazing. She's a hero. But I hated her for most of this, if not all of the movie. I was like, dude, fuck this chick.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, like, at a certain point they want us to start liking her because, like, oh, well, they're friends now. And I'm like, no, I still don't like her. Because the only reason that she's friends with her is because she did what she wanted her to do.
Exactly. She just got her to do something for her. Now she's nice. Fuck that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like the whole movie, she's the one perpetuating most of the racism and the hate towards Galinda, or the hate towards Elphaba. And like even their introduction, this is one of the best like lines in the movie or whatever Glinda trying to be nice to her when they first see her, and everyone freaks the fuck out because she's green. And she's like, that's such a horrible thing that you're green. That's the worst thing that has ever happened to anybody. But I'm actually planning on studying sorcery here. So maybe one day I'll be able to fix that for you. And she's like, great. You're offering somebody you do not know to help them with skills you do not have. And I was like, man, she fucking bodied her ass. And then honestly though, and then the other line where the first time that somebody calls her sister tragically beautiful and she says, I'm beautifully tragic. I was like, that's a good line too. I was like, that's a bar, dude. She got bars out here. Dan, do you want to talk about the musical numbers in this? You said that there was only one song that was actually catchy to you. What was it?
To me, yes. And maybe upon a rewatch, the other ones would stand out more. I don't know. But the only one that I left the theater thinking of was the popular song. It was the only one that had catchy melody that was so...
Which I've heard that song before, too. When that came on, I was like, oh, I've heard this on like TikTok and stuff. So this is like... I did not know this was from Wicked. Like, I've heard it before. You're gonna be popular.
Yeah.
It sounded like a Mika song.
It did sound like, oh my God, it did sound like a Mika song. What y'all know about Mika, bro?
Popular. You're gonna be popular.
That is very Mika. Wow. But yes.
Grace Kelly came back and made a little stint on TikTok for a little bit.
Did it really?
Yeah.
I wonder what that
and I was like, these motherfuckers don't know, bro.
They don't. Man, I'm gonna listen to that on the way home.
Yes, dude. Everybody's gonna love today, gonna love today, gonna love today. Everybody's gonna love today.
And we want to, and we've got to love me, love me, love. I've been trying for so long, on the verge just to carry on, what now has gone away. What y'all know about Mika?
What y'all know about Mika?
we just sing. I just wanna be. What y'all know about that?
So the version that Kristen Chenoweth does, the original person who plays them on Broadway, I think is better. It's the one that you hear on TikTok or whatever, and so what's funny is I knew that Idina Menzel was in this. I did not know Kristen Chenoweth was in the original, which is crazy because I know her from all kinds of shit that's not Broadway, but apparently she's, one of the most well-loved Broadway stars. I actually know her from Pushing Daisies. Where are my Pushing Daisies fans at?
Hey, Pushing Daisies, we're in the chat.
If you guys know what Pushing Daisies is without having to look it up, please send me a message so I know that there's other people who saw that show and it wasn't a fucking fever dream.
Yeah, help David out. He's going crazy. He keeps talking.
It was a show about a guy who had the ability to bring people back to life by touching them. Mm-hmm. but if they stayed alive longer than like 7 seconds or something like that, then they would someone else would die because they stayed alive for too long. And so he worked with a private investigator to solve murders because he would just bring people back to life, say, hey, who killed you? And then push them again.
Absolutely. It was a show, and that does exist, and it did have Kristen Chenoweth in it. You're right, David.
Mm-hmm. It had to.
Yeah.
I'm not fucking crazy. Okay? It was a sexual awakening for me. So
Honestly, though, Kristen Chenoweth is babe.
Which she has a cameo. Her and Idina Menzel have a cameo in this one.
They do.
So it's nice. It's when they're singing the song about the Grimmery. Is that's who sings it, and they did a great job. They were probably the best part of the movie, honestly.
The Grim Reaper?
Only because I think that they had such good chemistry. I wonder why. But yeah, they did a really good job. I liked them a lot in their little cameo. Their little cameo on this massive fucking movie into the biggest Broadway stars of all time. Their
little cameo.
Their little cameo where they get to sing an entire song and do a full song
they do that little cameo where they come in and do a whole number.
Yeah, that little cameo.
That little cameo, they come in and do a whole number and they're center frame in the middle screen.
Was there
So
any other
cute.
song that you liked a lot? Because I did think that the ending song was great, and I was like, okay, they definitely were. The whole plan, no matter what, for part one was to end on this song.
Yeah, and that's why I'm saying that I'm not saying bad or good songs. I'm saying catchy songs because with a lot of musicals, it's just there's some that are just so catchy, and I think that they should be, not even if not every song should be catchy, but there's so many songs that are very, very catchy. And so I was just surprised that I only walked away from this movie remembering one melody, because I think that the other ones just kind of melted together. But yeah, the songs themselves being good or bad is a whole different thing. I will say, again, I loved the actress who played Elphaba, because not only was she the best actor in the movie to me, but she was the best singer in the movie. I liked
Her singing was
I liked her voice the best. I think that she has that perfect mix of stage / Broadway / opera type singing, and then just soul, like just a soulful voice. And
why you wouldn't call Ariana Grande soulful?
You know what?
Or the other characters soulful? Why her soulful, Daniel?
I'll tell no, for real. I know you're trying to do a gotcha thing, but it really
Gotcha.
Because she's green.
Because she's green. She's the only green character in the movie.
But no, it comes down to the mix of vibrato in the voice, so it's not as much of just this clean tone. There's like a lot of vibrato, and then also the amount of runs that she does are just like
all those damn runs, dude. And she's good at cardio, so I wasn't surprised. I knew she was gonna run.
Cut this. Keep going. Cut this. Anyways, I'd give this.
Well, okay, I'll say, yeah, my favorite song in the movie was probably the ending song. My least favorite song is the one that the guy sings.
Same.
His song was so boring and it was so unnecessary, and the whole point of it was for him to go, I'm not like other guys, I break the rules. And I'm like, yeah, you didn't need a song for us to know that.
Yeah.
You came in and said, why are you guys fucking reading, nerds?
And he almost fucked the old lady. Remember that? He like picks up
Yeah, bro, what the fuck was that? He's like seducing the librarian. I'm like, this is not appropriate at all.
I was like, damn, I've seen these before.
No, wait, Wicked. I have seen this, yes.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I've seen this. No, that was my least favorite number as well. Like I was just like, not only was it awkward in terms of the actual choreography, and for the most part at least, it was very repetitive choreography, because remember, it's like he goes up to someone like very seduction wise, like traces the outline of their jawline or something, and then just pushes them away. And he does it like 7 fucking times. And I was like, okay, got it. Can we get something else? Like, It was so, like, the best part of the whole sequence was the spinning Inception wheel.
Yeah.
You know?
Which even that was like, what is this?
Yeah. So that was like the best part of the choreography. So it was just he kept doing the same thing over and over, and the tone was just very lazy and like just very lazy and not memorable. And I didn't like that one. That was definitely one where I was like, let's get on with it.
Yeah, I mean,
you cool and sexy.
Yeah, I agree. And I think that his character in general was just, I don't know, up and down. I did like, his introduction at least, because, she's extremely defensive when Elphaba's extremely defensive when she first meets him. And she just assumes that he's looking at her poorly because of her skin color. And he's not. He's like, okay, I didn't say anything about he's like, okay, well, is the defensiveness always been a thing too? He's the love interest who I think is causing the love triangle eventually in this movie, and I'm sure that that's going to come more into play in part 2 than it does in part 1. But it was just, that song and dance number was just not necessary at all, in my opinion.
It's also a thing like it bugs me with movies and stuff too, that this whole, I don't know what it is. I don't know if I have a problem with the implication of it in a real life setting or like application, but it's like, oh, I'm a character who everyone fucking hates all the time because I'm gross and I'm disgusting. But the one and only time that I'll ever show romantic interest in someone is if they're the hot guy.
Yeah,
I
feel
hate that sentiment so much. I hate it. She has no romantic feelings for anyone else in the movie. But the hottest guy who comes to town, she's like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so you're just like everyone else. You don't give a fuck about anyone else, any of these uggos.
Yeah.
You only care about the hottest guy.
Like, I get that you're saying, like, people who are different shouldn't be treated differently. Okay, that's fair. But why do you treat people who are different differently?
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, it's really a common thing. And I'm like, I don't know. I've always found it weird. And that's why I find a lot of solace in there's so many real life, like that feels so real, like real life couples in that show High Maintenance that I talk about. And I remember like it felt so monumental to me because it wasn't a Doug and Carrie situation. Like, like King of Queens. It wasn't like these where it was just like always this lopsided thing. It was a real couple that looked like they were actually a couple, not a.
Well, yeah, I get what you're saying. And
now, it is ironic. Can we bring this up? We haven't brought this up. It is ironic that this little, not even B storyline, C storyline, whatever, is her going after a man who's already taken.
Yeah.
And then Ariana Grande is in this movie.
Oh, you're right.
It's like, huh.
It's like, well, do I feel bad? Wait, no, it's just characters.
It's just characters. It's not
right. But then he actually is willing to show interest in another woman, even though he's in a relationship, which is also awkward because of who he is.
Exactly.
So it's like,
This is weird.
It's kind of like,
please.
Kind of like when Chris D'Elia played a pedophile in Workaholics. Remember that?
Yeah. And you're like, oh. But yeah, there's not a lot more that we can talk about with this movie because it's song and dance numbers. That's what makes it 2 hours and 40 minutes long. I mean, I think that
I want to see the play at Broadway. I think I would really like it. I genuinely think I would really like it.
And and again, I would love to say, okay, the story is great and all, but again, my gripe about it being an adaptation of a spinoff, like all of the moments in the movie where they were like, and again, I'm sure this is in the play and I'm sure this is in the book too, but all the moments where they were like, why does the witch wear a pointy hat? Oh, because the other girl thinks the hat is ugly and gives it to her as a joke, but she actually likes it. I'm like, okay, we needed to know that. And like when they meet the wizard, we're like, why is the brick road yellow? And the wizard eyes. And then he's like, actually, I'm trying to figure out what color it should be.
Should it be green?
Yes.
Should it be yellow?
And then they're going through like all these different colors while he's planning out the yellow brick road. But it's not yellow yet, and it's just the brick road. And they're trying to figure out what color it should be. And they like skip over yellow. And then Ariana Grande goes, wait, go back. Drop the.
It's clear. I knew you were going to say that. I knew you were going to say that. I was thinking the same thing. Drop the blue. Make it yellow. It's cleaner.
It's cleaner. Yellow brick road rolls off the tongue.
They should have just had a Justin Timberlake cameo for that.
Just for that.
He's like a munchkin who's in the Oz world.
He's like,
and he's just like
yellow.
Yellow.
Also, I have a gripe about this too, and I don't know. I would really like to speak to a little person who, especially someone who is a little person in Hollywood, because I'm like, is it like Hollywood has decided it's offensive to have little people play the roles of little people in movies. Like that's the decision they've made. They're like the Munchkins in Munchkinland in the Wizard of Oz universe, in this Wicked movie, cannot be little people. It has to be regular people that we're using forced perspective, a little bit to make them look shorter. And most of them aren't even actually that short. They're just normal height, whatever.
Yeah, normal height, 5'6", 5'7"-ish.
Like normal height or average height. A lot of people say tall.
Yeah, kind of tall if you think about it.
In some countries, you'd be like above average height.
Right, exactly.
And that's the decision that they've made. And part of me is wondering, like, are little people that offended by Munchkins being little people, like actual little people? Because if I was a little person and I was in Hollywood, I'd be like, wow, I'm a little person. I want to be like in movies and I don't even get to play a fucking Munchkin. Like the roles that were made for us so that we could have an opportunity to be actors and participate in cinema, and we don't get that anymore because it's offensive. Oh, it's offensive for us to play that role. We're going to go get fucking Hugh Grant to play a CGI Oompa Loompa because it's offensive for a little person to be
Hugh
Oompa
Grant
Loompa.
CGI?
But yeah, I don't know. It's just maybe the Oompa Loompa one makes a little bit more sense because I could see like little people being like called that as an insult. And maybe even Munchkin being called Munchkin as an insult. But at the same time, I'm just like, well, to me now, it's like more offensive to not have little people play Munchkins. Because now it's like, oh, no, we're not allowing little people in this movie.
Yeah, do they have any...
A little person can actually play the voice of one of the other characters in Peter Dinklage, but only if it's the most famous little person who's ever lived. Maybe I'm wrong about it. Maybe little people are like, no, that's not the roles we want. We just want normal roles where we can just play.
I just want to play a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
Just let me play a lawyer.
But I think
But even Peter Dinklage in Game of Thrones is playing a little person. Like that whole character is supposed to be a little person who is made fun of and people, treated them poorly because of that. So like...
But he knew things.
But that's what I'm saying. Imagine if they were like, let's make Game of Thrones and the person who plays that character is going to be a regular person. He's not going to be a little person. We're just going to use forced perspective and he's going to be shorter, but it's not going to be a real little person. That would be offensive, would it not?
It is an interesting, because if y'all don't know about that movie with Gary Oldman playing a little person.
Yeah. With
holy shit. Look
Matthew McConaughey.
Yeah, with the Matthew McConaughey movie. Guys, look up Gary Oldman, Matthew McConaughey movie, and please go look that up on YouTube.
Role of a lifetime.
It is the most offensive thing I've ever seen in my fucking life. It's wild. But anyways, it's like, I think it is an interesting conversation because we have talked about how, wow, I can't believe Colin Farrell gets to play the Penguin. Like shit like that.
Yeah, why, how come a fat, ugly actor doesn't get to play the fat, ugly character? Let's get a beautiful man, make him fat and ugly, and then he can play.
Yeah, it happens a lot. Speaking of Gary Oldman, he played like Winston Churchill or some shit recently. It's like again, so I am a fat person, right? I grew up.
Daniel, no, you're not a person.
That's good. So, yeah, I'm a fat person. I would love to be able to play roles of a fat person in a movie. Yes, I grew up being constantly bullied and insulted for being fat. So all of that. You would
still rather be the person who plays the fat person instead of someone else playing the role of a fat person. So that's why, yeah.
So yeah, I can see that. Like, and just
that's what I'm saying. Like, I want to talk to like Brad Williams, who's a little person comedian. Like, I wonder, like, how does he feel? I'm sure like if you're a comedian, being able to be in a movie is a good opportunity. And you have a guy in this movie who's an SNL star who plays, a comedic relief character. Why couldn't let's get Brad Williams in this movie to play a Munchkin. And he's the Munchkin who goes to the school. And let's have him do some comedic relief lines. You know what I'm saying? Like there's just opportunity that should exist there that it doesn't. And I'm just like wondering, how does that community feel about that? Like, I don't want to speak for them. I just feel like if it were me, that's how I would feel. Anyways, that's the last gripe that I had about this movie. Now, again, all the stuff that we liked about the movie, the visuals were good, the CGI was good, the singing was
the CGI was really good.
The CGI of the monkeys, the flying monkeys was really good. I love the design of them too.
Yeah, when they have the animal council meeting and the tiny ass little monkey was so cute, bro.
It was good.
Adorable.
And you know what? Peter Dinklage as the goat was really good.
He did have a great his voice.
Yep. Yeah, when I heard his voice too, I was like, I know that voice. I think that voice drinks and know things.
Yeah. That was the CGI on the bears and like just all the animals. I was really impressed by it. It was really good.
My favorite part of this movie was the Kristen Chenoweth and Idina Menzel cameo. Their song was really good. Kristen Chenoweth is gorgeous. Still to this day. To this day.
Deontay Wilder?
Yeah. And so, yeah, that song was one of my favorites in the movie, too, and they did a great job. My least favorite part of this movie, I think, was the guy's song. That whole song and dance number I thought was just so unnecessary. And that probably coupled with the 4 different intros to the movie, that was just so much unnecessary background information that I just felt was so obvious. It was like, let's show her being born so she can tell everybody I've been green since I was born out loud multiple times in the movie.
Yeah, every time she's in a scene.
Yeah. It's like, okay, well, didn't need to be told that when she was born, she was green. Like, we could have figured that out. But anyways.
Yeah.
Daniel, what was your favorite part, least favorite part?
I'm not lying, bro. My favorite part of the movie was the animal council. I found the animal aspect of the movie the most captivating. And like, not only the story of them being persecuted and stuff, but just like, it was so fun to just see them like hang out and talk and stuff. And like that they behave in the same manner as their actual animals would. Like the professor teaches a class, but uses his back hooves to like turn shit out. Like I thought it was really cool.
Yeah, like they have their whole house and stuff set up. To be for animals.
Like it's like there was a
they
lot.
They even had a back door that was like smaller, so they could.
Yeah, so they could scurry out. Like it was such a creative and really cool magical part of this universe that I clicked with the most. Like I loved it more than all the magic and witches and wizardry and stuff. I liked the animals so much when they had that little.
And that is kind of like the main plot too.
Yeah, like they're a major driving force of like how to get from point A to point B in the story. So like. They are a major part of the movie, but also like that animal council meeting was just, it was so adorable, dude. Like all these different, and it's like interesting, the voice acting for like the tiger that, was it a tiger? I can't remember the
like a leopard
or something
like
maybe.
That.
Yeah. But it's like, even his voice was a little bit more sly. Like it was like, they gave so much, like, I wanted to see a movie about them so bad.
Yeah.
I would have watched that movie in a heartbeat. My least favorite part of the movie was the length of the movie. Like I can't get past it. I'm so sorry. Like I
because we're like sitting here going, man, we should really talk about more. We were in the theater for 3 hours.
Yeah, I mean,
this episode's going to be like an hour long.
We've seen 2 hours and 40-minute movies that did not feel that long, and we're like, you know what? It was surprisingly like it flowed pretty well. So it doesn't always have to like, even when we're like, oh, we're looking at it on just a showtime and seeing that number and we're dreading it. Sometimes we go, you know what? That didn't even feel that long. That was pretty good. So it's not like it's automatically a negative, but it's like this one just so happens to not earn its runtime, and it felt so long. And yeah, it was a little too much for me. Maybe it's because I'm old. I'm washed. I don't have the energy I used to have. Okay, sorry.
Yeah. As a adaptation of a Broadway play musical movie, I will give this one a, I don't know, 10 out of 10. I haven't seen a lot of these.
This is the only one I've ever seen.
As a movie, I mean, it's a part 1. It's like a 4.
Yeah.
Maybe a 3. Because the plot is just meh. The acting is fine. The CGI is good. The visuals are good. There's a bunch of fucking singing in it. So as a movie, it sucks.
I was confused.
I was like, why did they fucking do it?
the hell?
No one's even mentioning it?
Wait, some of these people are joining along.
What the fuck is happening?
What kind of loony bin is this?
Guy who's never seen a musical.
What is shiz? A mental hospital?
I don't know.
Fuck?
This is a really hard one to rate.
It is a hard one to rate because
I don't want to piss off the Wicked fans either. I don't want the Wicked fans being like, oh, and then I give it a fucking 3 and they're like, this guy's an idiot.
Yeah, it's fine.
But for all I know, it could be a 10 out of 10 adaptation of the musical.
Yeah. I'm not scared of Wicked fans. I know none of y'all can fight, so come fucking catch these hands. But I
Brutal.
I was in choir in high school, bro. I'm one of you.
Freaking Mr. Warbucks over here is talking about, fuck you guys, y'all can't fight.
I was Daddy Warbucks and Andy, dude. Yeah, so that's I'm one of y'all. I'm one of these musical nerds, but as an actor and a performer in them, just not a watcher of them. Sorry. But yeah, that's why it is hard to rate, because it did a lot of things really well, and there's just a lot that is simply not for me. Like, and then there's stuff that it did poorly, just from a filmmaking and story writing perspective, that doesn't require the disclaimer of it's a musical or whatever.
Yeah, and if you're gonna ask me, am I gonna see this movie again? My response to that is, my wife has not seen it yet, so yes, I will have to watch this movie again.
But I am also feeling that around probably a 4. It's probably a 4. Now, there is a movie that I have reviewed on this podcasts before that would absolutely need to get dropped for this to be a 4. I won't talk about it because we're still thinking about doing a re-rating episode. So,
Yeah.
but I think this is around a 4. Yes.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Now, to shorten this episode even more, we're actually not going to be doing a part 2. The reason for this is we feel like everybody's just talking about the difference between this and the Broadway play. The Broadway play had it like this, and the book actually had it like this, and the Broadway play had it like this. And when I saw the Broadway play, blah, blah, blah. And we're here to review the movie, not the Broadway play. So that is the reason why we don't want to get into that. We have not very much interest in knowing that either. Maybe we'll go watch the Broadway play.
Now,
Who
yeah,
knows?
I'm about to say, if y'all want us to review the Broadway play, then donate some money and we'll go to New York.
We'll get a Patreon. Yeah,
We'll catch it. We'll catch
and
it.
we will torrent a illegally recorded version
Illegal.
of the Broadway. We'll who knows, but we're not going to be doing a part 2. If you want to get involved in the conversation and, like we said at the beginning, be involved in some of the decisions we make about what movies we go and see, you can reach out to us at Wild Dream Pod on Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky.
Oh my God, we're on the Blue Sky wave.
And we're also on Threads. And check us out on streaming. That is twitch.tv/WildDreamStream. You can also check out our streams and our podcast on YouTube at Wild Dream Pod. Until next time, thank you guys for listening. We love you.
We kiss you. Good night.
Good night.